Wow. All right, everybody. Hi, my name is Jerry. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic addict maniac, and kind of blown away by all the people at this meeting. I know a lot of you, there's people here from my kind of home groups, even. This is too much support. So I'm really grateful for that, and I'm almost overwhelmed, which is ridiculous for me. So, what it was like, what happened, what it's like now. I don't have any notes. I did shave before this meeting, right here and here. So I kind of dressed up for tonight. And here we are. So, what it was like, I was born in New York, in Bronx, 1949, to, I guess, a middle class family. We lived in an apartment building. My grandparents lived above us. Um, it was a rough little neighborhood. We moved out when I was 5 because horrible things were happening. I'll just leave it there. Um, we moved to Yonkers, New York. And I met my best friend Craig when I was 5 years old. We're still friends. And we're both, he's 75 now, I'm 74. And it's incredible. All right, so that's enough of that. We grew up in a, like I said, it was tough. Yonkers was pretty tough too, and it was really segregated in terms of Jews and the Italian guys and the Irish guys. And religion, my mother always said separated. Religion separates because a lot of the Italian, I suppose, Catholic people didn't want their kids hanging out with us Jews. I was brought up Jew. Um, a little about that was my father's mother left Europe when she was 13 because she thought they were going to get killed. And ultimately, she left by herself, came to the United States at 13, and her parents were killed. They were thrown in a camp and killed. So I'm glad she split when she was 13. That took a lot of guts. And I kind of think that went into my father and it kind of went into me too. I'm grateful for that. Um, Okay, so I grew up and I was probably 2 inches taller then when I was 12 years old than I am now. I shrank over the years. And my father was a good man. He was what they call a mensch, I suppose, really good to people, but he didn't take too much stuff, but he was very mild. He was very mild. He went through World War II and sort of was like a hero and did all this crazy shit behind enemy lines and had a foxhole prayer when things were going bad once and said, if you get me out of this, God, I will never make waves for anybody. And he was a mellow guy. He didn't necessarily believe in God, but that was one of those foxhole prayers. So I was sent to Hebrew school. I got thrown out of Hebrew school when I was 12 because I thought it was absurd what they were telling me. And I said to the rabbi, and these rabbis were all, this was back in the early 50s, mid 50s. These rabbis were guys, some of them were in camps. They had tattooed numbers on their arms, and they were rough guys, these rabbis. And I said to him, if this God was so great, why did he let 6 million of you guys get killed? And he kind of slapped me and I kind of pushed him back. And he was an old guy. He fell over the desk and I was thrown out of Hebrew school. Um, I did get bar mitzvah independently, which was important to my parents for some reason. So I went through that. Um, Bottom line is I sort of was a loner. I didn't like anything. I felt different like we all do, most of us do. I started drinking when I was 12 at bar mitzvahs, drank till I was 61. It's hard to tell looking at me, but I did a bunch of drugs too during all this time. I made a lot of money with outside issues. I didn't get in trouble really with outside issues, but I drank. And every time I drank, it always was a bad ending. From the time I was 15 till I was 61. I'm not going to go into whole drunk a lot, but I did a lot of horrible things. And I listen to these shares and I'm thinking, wow, this person's a good person. Wow, she's a really good woman. Oh, this guy's a great guy. Because we hear all these things that they've done and it's really good, positive. But we're all in here because of the opposite. So I just want you to know I was not a good guy. I was a terrible guy. I hurt people. I got off on hurting people physically. I was a fighter. I learned how to use weapons. I used the weapons. I was in life and death fights, and I'm still here. And I've had 3 bones removed from his hand from hitting people's heads so much that I broke all these bones in my hand. Lots of terrible things. I threw a guy through the second story window once without opening it. I did a lot of terrible things. And I did a lot of terrible things to my family, not physically, but emotionally and mentally, for sure. And I didn't even realize it. I was what we call a periodic architect, I guess. I was loaded most of the time, but I did architecture for amazing people. I did incredible jobs. I was really well known, and I was known to just be kind of hard to work with, but it was probably worth it in the long run. And I did a lot of jobs for big time Hollywood people. Um, when I was young, I grew up playing an instrument. I played a bass guitar, and I played with Steven Tallarico, who turned into Steven Tyler in Aerosmith. And we got busted in 10th grade for marijuana. And then he went to Juilliard and pursued an incredible career. And I became an architect. So I used to hang out with Aerosmith when we were young and Kiss. I hung out with Kiss a lot too, those guys. I knew them. I still remember my little animated Jewish mother sitting on the couch with Ace Frehley sitting next to her on New Year's Eve once there at my house. And he had his big star on his face. And my mother's going, "So why do you wear this makeup all the time?" And it was just really incredible. So that's still in my drug-riddled head, I suppose. It really is incredible. So anyway, went through high school, did well in like science and math, barely passed the other things. Um, did stupid things. In math, I took the New York State Regents, and the teacher said, I'm not going to give you extra credit on this test, and you have to pass it. You got to go to summer school. And I said, you know what? Screw you, you old bag. I'm only going to do 66% of the test because you need 65 to pass, and it was like 2 points at the end each question. And I did 66%, and I got 66%. And it was like my parents were like, "Idiot, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face," kind of thing. And I was like that a lot in my life. I went to a junior college, studied civil engineering, and then I went to an architecture school and got my degree in architecture. Totally loaded the whole time, but I was really good at architecture. So I was able to skate through it. It was amazing. I got written up magazines and shit. I wrote a book when I was in college. Crazy. Um, all right. Through the whole thing, I'm nuts. I'm hurting people. I'm like this hippie that hits people, which was kind of weird. But I did. And I would, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, And it was true. That was terrible. I played football. I played high school, college, the University of Miami until I got thrown off the team. That's why I got my architecture. And I got thrown off the team for being aggressive. Can you imagine that? Thrown off the football team for that. And I played for a farm team for the New York Giants for a while. At the same time I was doing that Giants thing, I was working in a Chevrolet factory on the Hudson River in Tarrytown, New York, from 4 in the afternoon to 1 or 2 in the morning. I don't remember. And I'd go home, sleep a couple hours, go to football practice. So I was in shape. And I drank, but just a little. Smoked some weed, just a little. And then Martin Luther King got killed, so I couldn't work in the auto factory anymore because there were a lot of black guys that were pissed off at white guys. So that was that. So I drank the rest of the summer, got in trouble, had to leave New York because of this group I got with that planned something. I'm not going to go into it. It went awry, and I had to leave New York basically, or deal with a couple guys, and I didn't want to do that. I left New York. I went to Albert. Actually, I married my old girlfriend to get out of New York. Wedding, I called it. Her mother was so happy when we broke up. She wanted a kid in a car, her daughter. And we took that new car and traded in for a Volkswagen van and traveled across the country, wreaking havoc wherever we went. So ultimately, I got divorced from her. I came to Santa Barbara. I worked for the Isla Vista Park District, building parks and being always carving. I carve a lot. All my carvings, they really reflected what my life was like. I was in a cage. I was in a box that I made myself. I made my own cage. And all my carvings were like that. I still got a bunch of them. These were all solid blocks of wood, and I would carve the animals in there. They couldn't get out of these cages. And some of the cages were intricate. Some of them were twisted cages. There's an owl in one of my cages. My son used to say, "Why do you do that, Dad? You build your own cage with your drinking and your drug abuse. That's why your carvings are all like that, because you're in a cage that you built yourself." And it's really struck me these years later that I'm sober now. I've been sober for 13 years, and I don't know, about 4 or 5 months maybe. Never had a relapse because a little over 13 years ago, I was pissed off after my second divorce. I lost the big house, my second house in San Ynez, a beautiful house, but I did a little remodel on it too, and it was incredible and blah, blah, blah. Had two wonderful kids, and I came home to a note. And my wife was gone, the kids were in college. I told my wife, we have to stay together. Don't divorce me until the kids are at least in college, so they have a half-assed decent foundation. So as soon as my second kid was in college, I got this note. She fled. She knew she couldn't divorce me before that because I was too nuts. Bottom line is, I was bummed. I was in a little house in Los Alamos where I'm at now, a little over 13 years ago. I had a drink. I was pissed off my kids weren't around. Cops showed up at this bar I was at. I said, let me walk home. I live 2 blocks away. And he said, sit down. So I stood up and then he came in my face. I said, please back off. I'm not really that drunk. And then the little damn alcoholic guy on my shoulder said, you know, Gerry, you're 61 years old. They don't suspect you're going to do anything. If you knock them down, you can walk home. Now, like I said, I was a pretty good fighter and I liked it, so I proceeded to do that. Unfortunately, rule number one is you got to knock them out. I didn't knock them out. I just hurt them. They were on the ground, and they both tased me from the ground. Oh, and I didn't have my taser armor on that night. And geez, it was terrible. And the paramedics came to cut the wires off. You know, when you get tased, they got to cut the wires off so the surgeon at the hospital can dig these barbs out of you. We all know that, right? And I kicked the paramedic. So I'm going to prison now, you guys, for 12 years for assault on police paramedics. I'm 61 years old. And my little public defender says, Gerry, go to AA. It might lessen your sentence. I said, AA is not a Christian cult. And she said, no, of course not. So I came into AA, and lo and behold, it kind of was. And gee willikers, you know? And someone said to me, be rigorously honest. The other person said to me, fake it till you make it. I was like, I don't get it. Be rigorously honest and fake it till I make it. Because I said, I can't do this God stuff. Fake it till you make it. You'll get it. It'll come. And it kind of says that in that book, too, that silly book that Bill wrote, which has a lot of great stuff. But it was just Bill writing the book, who was like as flawed as us, basically, I think. And he wrote amazing stuff. But he was a womanizer. I was a womanizer. I mean, so we had great similarities. But yeah, no dice. Um, an old timer said to me, you know, I'll tell you something that happened once. I was 4 months sober. This is really true. And it was like January, February, March, April. So yeah, I got sober on Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, the day the United States got bombed. I stopped getting bombed, and that's kind of cool in a way. So I was going to a meeting. I had about 4 months. I left my house and I was driving past the bar, which is like 2 blocks where I had my incident. And all the kids in the neighborhood were there. It was like on a Saturday, and I used to make toys for them and fix their bikes. And they all saw me getting tased and beaten. It was horrible. It was horrible. And as I'm passing the bar, pulling up to it, I see a cop car pull over, and one of the cops that actually, not the one I kicked in the nuts, but the one I punched in the throat, was walking into the bar. And for some reason, I just went, well, I'm 4 months sober. Oh, that's a third of a year. I'm going to go in there and have a double shot of Jameson's and then cut this guy's face off and hang it on my mirror and drive to my meeting and tell him, oh, I got to start again. Not even thinking about the cop part. So I get out of my car and I reach into my seat and I get my K-bar, this beautiful military fighting knife that I'm really trained with. And it starts to rain on me on this sunny day. It starts to pour. And for a minute, I went, whoa, that must be God telling me not to do this. And I went to the meeting and I told them, and they were like, oh, praise the Lord. Yes, that's what it was. Jesus. Well, I went home that day and checked the weather. and they were talking about all these random little storms that were moving through my area that day. So that made me feel a little better about, no, okay, good. Well, but I did. I went to that meeting thinking, wow, wow, wow. But I was able to deal with that. So I come in here and I do the steps and I do the fourth step. I got the God thing. I got down to where I could think of the great outdoors, good old direction, good old dude. I certainly didn't think it was some like Disney character floating around out there guiding my life for some reason. I mean, I've been through a lot of medical stuff, and I certainly didn't pray. Somebody told me I fell down on the floor here about what I don't know 4 or 5 years ago, 3 4 years ago. I don't know. My heart stopped. I had AFib. I also had double pneumonia, which I didn't know at the time, and so my heart. So I fell on the floor. I couldn't get up. Barbara, my lovely lady here, called 911. They came. They had to use those paddles on me, and they used to get on me in the ambulance, and I recovered. Well, I didn't pray. Some guys were going, "Don't worry, Jesus is in the next bed." And I was like, dude, I'm in a single room. And I turned my will and life over to these doctors here. Not that, basically. And they were like, well, the God who's guiding their hand. And I was like, all right, if you believe that, that's cool. Either way, I'm still here and I'm really happy about it. And I sort of think that the whole God thing doesn't even matter. I mean, that we have to have secular meetings is crazy. Lovely Barbara here says that all the time. And it's true. And she's got like 36 years. And it's true because if there is a God, and I'm doing what the program tells me, all this good stuff, and I'm trying to be humble, and I'm trying to be better, and I'm trying to help other people, I'm happy, the people around me are happy, and this God thing is happy. And if there's no God, it's still everybody's happy. So it's kind of a win-win situation. So I don't know. Nobody has proof, man. So I guess I'm agnostic. I kind of think I'm a militant agnostic because I'll argue for you to believe whatever you want to believe if it's working for you. It's like whatever you want to believe, like it says in the beginning of this meeting, is cool with me. And I went through a lot of things. My kids didn't talk to me for my daughter for 11 years, and they've been talking to me again for the last about 3 or 4. My son always talked to me. He just had my first grandchild. Today is her birthday, as a matter of fact, so it is a special day. Today is little Roswell. That's her name, Roswell. Oh, yeah. Roswell's birthday. So I'm excited about that. I get to see her and I occasionally hold her. And she was real afraid of my beard unless I band it up like this. And then she's cool. And then it's like a cat toy for her or something. Um, so I used to be like nasty and driving on the road. I'm still pretty much a New York maniac driver, but I'm a safe driver. I'm a courteous driver. And I try to be slower now. And I do. I look around more. I appreciate the world. I appreciate what's happening. Before, I didn't know nothing. I didn't see leaves on trees. I notice everything now, which is incredible. Plus, I got cataract surgery, so I can actually see again, which is very cool. Um, yeah, but when I first came in, I was an angry, crazy guy. Mikey remembers. I was, I sat there with a knife carving all the time. Nobody was sitting near me. One guy said, "Hey, your carving's bothering me." I said, "Well, fucking move." I was just, and now, I try to care about other people. I try to think about other people. I go to a meeting at 10 o'clock. I go to this one a lot, and I also go to another one that's a traditional meeting, I suppose. And I get to lead it twice a week on Sunday and Thursday. And when I'm leading it, we usually do Beyond Belief or some other, we don't do the daily reflection, which is, 2/3 God heavy. Sometimes it's not, but, and these people love it. All these folks at this meeting love it. My home group that Mikey goes to also in person, it's traditional, but it's really accepting. It's really open, and we openly share about our thoughts at the meeting. And a lot of people are, yeah, I don't know. So it's cool. It's not like a Bible thumping meeting. There's a couple guys there that are, but cool. It works for them. They got time. They're cool. They're happy. They're happy with us. It's cool. It's like a should be. It's open and inclusive. And it's very cool. It really is. I'm really lucky for that because I've been to some meetings where, hell, people walk out if I was going to read non-AA approved literature. And it was like, are you kidding me? This is saving my life, asshole. You don't want to hear it? So um, I know that, like, I don't have that much to say really because I'm real happy with things right now. I don't have anything to grumble about. I mean, oh yeah, I'm a renter, so anything could happen in that situation. It would be terrible, but that's not what's happening now, you know. And I have health things. I got this heart monitor in me that is recording me right now, just like you guys are. We're just recording my heartbeats, I guess. And then these doctors look at it and they'll see when I died. Oh yeah, he died last night during that meeting. It says it right here. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the point of this stupid thing is, but I got it in me. I got a battery in me, you guys. How ridiculous is that? Um, I haven't drank, like I said, in all this time. My son's a big time, famous, ridiculous winemaker. He's flown to Europe, tell them how to make wine. They take him to all the soccer games. He played soccer for Berkeley for a while, and he could have been pro soccer. I actually coached him from 5 until high school in soccer, and I knew nothing about it. I was a football player, but I read about it and I coached, and I loved it. And I was loaded all the time, and we were a kick-ass team, and we wore 2 different color socks, and the league hated it and kissed my ass, I would tell them. And yeah, so really good. My life is so much better now. I'm calm now. Okay, so AA has helped me, NA has helped me, and MA is that the Medical Association has helped me. I mean, I have to use all the help I can get. I still take a little square pill every day. It's my don't hurt the nice people pill, and it really works. I stopped for a while once, and hell, and I'm an old man. I'm 74. I almost jumped over my freaking front fence like 4 years ago, and I stopped taking it. With some guy's dog shit in front of my house, and he's like, "You pick that up, or I'm gonna shove it up your ass." He picked it up. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a lot better now. I went back on that pill, obviously. It it's just how it was. But I was self-centered, total self-centered moron. Um, when it comes to women, I was married, but I usually had something. I never had sex with another woman when I was married, but emotionally, I had affairs, basically, to be honest. Where I would talk more to this other woman than I would to my wife or whatever it was. And that was kind of shit. And then I lived with 2 women for a while after my first divorce and built a special bed at the right school, I guess you'd say. And that was good, living with 3 people because if one of them was a jerk, the other 2 would kind of gently let him know about it. So that kind of worked out pretty good for a while. Um, and I don't know. Now I live with Barbara. We've been together, I don't know, 10, 11 years. It's just a mellow thing. It's no big, it's not like high school relationship. You know, we're both older and been through lots of stuff, but we're here supporting and helping each other, and that's very cool. She travels a lot and I don't, which is very cool. I stay here with the dogs and cats and myself, which, you know, that's good. The more I isolate, the less I have to do a 10th step, I figured. And I don't like 10 steps. I kind of think that I think it's like when people go to church and they get in that little phone booth and some guy's next to him and they say, "Oh, I have sinned." And he goes, "All right, we'll say these Hail Marys and it'll be cool." I don't get that. And I think the 10 steps almost like that too. If I do something to somebody or they do it to me, let's say, I guess I can forgive them. I can't forget though, certainly. I'm not going to forget. That's just how I am. Or I kind of think that's reality. I'm not going to do it again, that's for sure. So I'm not a turn the other cheek guy. Oh gosh, I'm not. But I got to remember too that I'm an older guy and I can't be like I used to be. Although there's weapons, but no, no, no. Peace, peace, peace. It can do it. So I am grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for all the people I've met along the way. And I don't know what to tell you other than no matter what, I don't take a drink. And because I do that, I don't get drunk. And because I do that, I can make correct choices. I'm not in that little no choice prison anymore. I don't have to plan everything around my last next high. Although I usually had that pretty together, so that wasn't a big worry. I got busted once my little group for a quarter of a million hits of LSD in Santa Barbara, and people went to jail, and oh, it was a terrible time. But we were making a lot of money before that, God, So I just think that pick your poison, kids. If it's ruining your life, stop doing it. These people are telling me don't do anything to change you from the head up while they're smoking these cigarettes and drinking this really strong coffee. Just do what works for you. I guess it's not ruining your life, cigarettes and coffee, so you can do it. Booze ruined my life. I like getting high. Bottom line, I like getting high, but it turned out that I couldn't get high like that. It just, nope, made me very aggressive. I used to take a shot before I went to high school. There was a bar across the street from our high school. We'd all meet there. They opened early for us, I guess. I don't know, ridiculous. So, and nobody was of age. I was shaving since I was 13. So I always looked old enough to buy stuff. I actually have had a beard since high school graduation, 1967. I just trimmed it since then. But and my eyebrows, shit, I've had them since 1949. So there you go. And I guess that's all I got, you guys, other than, this friend of mine got pulled over the other day, and the cop said to him, dude, repeat the alphabet for me. Say the alphabet, starting with M. And this guy went, alphabet? So, that's how we get when we're drunk. We kind of lose perspective on things. And that's really all I got. And I really appreciate you all being here. And I'm sorry if I sounded ridiculous, but Rule 62, kiddos, that's one of my favorite and most important things in my life because I was way too serious before. And now I could find humor in pretty much everything. So I'm glad about that. I think it's ridiculous. I'm here talking in front of this many people, talking about humor. And that is really all I have. And thank you so very much.